There are places that were never meant to be found. Deep in the heart of the Blackridge Mountains lies one such place, an underground research facility built in secrecy, hidden from history, forgotten by the world, sealed away under layers of rock and shadow. Its name lost to time, its purpose an enigma. Locals spoke of strange noises carried by the wind, ghostly lights flickering at the mountain's peak, legends of miners who ventured too deep, only to vanish without a trace. But curiosity is a dangerous thing. Rachel Carter was not one to believe in legends. A brilliant, skeptical biology student, she spent her life debunking myths and unraveling scientific mysteries. When she stumbled upon an old journal mentioning the Blackridge Lab, she saw an opportunity to uncover the truth behind the tales, to prove that fear is just ignorance in disguise. She convinced her friends, Mark, Jenna, and Lucas, to join her. Armed with flashlights, cameras, and an unshakable sense of adventure, they ventured into the mountains. The entrance to the lab was hidden behind a crumbling rock face, barely noticeable. A narrow tunnel led them down, deeper than they had expected. The air grew colder. The light from the surface faded, swallowed by an oppressive darkness. The descent felt endless. Each step echoed. Every breath hung heavy. Something was wrong. The first signs. The tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber. Rusted metal beams, broken glass, old equipment, evidence of a facility long abandoned. But it didn't feel empty. It felt watched. Rachel found an old control panel, its screen flickering weakly. Words appeared, fragments of forgotten records. Experiment 23, status, unstable. Containment breach, protocol failure. Subject, unknown origin. Lucas's voice trembled. What the hell were they doing here? Mark wandered ahead, flashlight cutting through the darkness. He froze. Guys, you need to see this. At the center of the room stood a containment pod. Cracked, covered in grime, but intact. Something moved inside. The awakening Rachel approached, heart pounding. She wiped the glass, revealing a figure within. A humanoid form, skin pale and translucent, eyes glowing faintly. Not human. Jenna whispered, "Is it alive?" The pod hissed. A thin mist escaped. Slowly, the door opened. The figure stepped out. Its movements were jerky, unnatural. It lifted its head, eyes meeting Rachel's. For a moment, she felt a connection, a flood of images, emotions, memories not her own. "You shouldn't have come here." The voice wasn't a sound. It was inside her mind. The infection mark touched the glass, his hand trembling. A drop of liquid seeped from a crack, landing on his skin. His eyes widened. He staggered back, clutching his head. "Mark?" Jenna's voice broke. He convulsed, a strangled scream escaping his lips. His skin darkened, veins turning black. His eyes, now empty, hollow, filled with something alien. He wasn't Mark anymore. Descent into madness. Panic erupted. They ran, but the facility had become a maze. Rachel's mind raced. This wasn't just a lab. It was a prison. The creature wasn't an experiment. It was a weapon, a biological nightmare. The virus it carried could rewrite DNA, twisting life into something monstrous. One by one, her friends fell. Jenna, then Lucas, each transformation more horrifying than the last. She was alone. She found a control room, screens flickering with old footage, scientists running, alarms blaring, mutated figures tearing through corridors. This had happened before. They had sealed the lab, hoping to bury the nightmare. The final choice. Rachel reached the exit. The surface was so close. Freedom. The creature stood in her path. It didn't attack, it watched. "Leave, and the world will burn." Stay, and you might save it. She looked back. The bodies of her friends, now twisted, monstrous. She understood. The virus couldn't be allowed to escape. She stepped back. The door sealed. The whisper of the mountains. Months later, the Blackridge Mountains were sealed off by authorities. Locals spoke of strange lights, ghostly whispers in the wind, stories of a woman's voice calling for help. But no one dares to go inside. Some secrets are meant to stay buried.